Hey there, my name's Amber and I'm 30 years old. Today I want to tell you about how I managed to get revenge on my entitled stepsister. But of course, before I get into how that happened, I need to give you a little backstory. I was an only child to my two very loving parents. However, when I was 10 years old, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and within a few months, he was gone. It was devastating for my mom and I. I don't even know how we managed to get through the first few months of my dad's passing. The thing is, since my dad knew about this inevitable end, he put all his affairs in order. He gave all of his financial assets to my mom and he left with the house. He wanted my mom to get married again after he passed, and he knew that my mom would be able to have a house of her own after. He wanted me to have a more stable future, so he gave the house to me. The house was set to be given to me the day I turned 18, but Mom was the executor of his will, so we lived in the same house until I turned 15. When I was 15, my mom introduced me to her boyfriend of a year. His name was Charlie, and he was genuinely the sweetest man. He still is. He made my mom happy again, and that was all I needed to see to approve of him. Charlie also had a daughter, and her name was Courtney. Courtney was only 10 when I met her, but she immediately did not like me. I didn't know if I did something to her, but I tried my best to be as nice as possible to her. Mom and Charlie dated for about 2 more years before properly tying the knot. While I was very, very happy for the two of them, Courtney was not. She did not want to be a part of our family and constantly made it known to us. We just figured that she was still not used to her family having broken up, so we gave her all the space and time she needed. I tried my best to be there for her, if not as a sister, then as a friend. But Courtney never budged. She instead made my life a little hellish. She constantly tried to hurt me, either physically or with her words. Anyway, as soon as I turned 18, I moved out and back into the house that my dad had given to me. I attended college and I was doing great. Of course, just because I moved out, it didn't mean that I stopped visiting my mom. Whenever I visited my mom, I made sure to try and connect with Courtney, which was easier because she could no longer torment me since I didn't live with her. Courtney only distanced herself even more from me, so eventually I gave up trying too much. However, during Courtney's senior year in high school, she reached out to me and we began talking. Of course, she reached out to me because she didn't want to keep living with our parents. I offered to let her live with me for a year, and I thought our relationship was going somewhere. And while living with her was not bad, she still kept me at arm's length. The most I got out of her was that she was dating someone that she met in one of her classes. I was just happy that she was letting me in at all. She moved out after a year, and then I barely heard from her. And this is why 3 years later, I was beyond surprised to get a call from her where she asked me to meet her at our local cafe. Of course, I cleared my schedule to meet her. When I got to the cafe, she was already sitting there. "Hi, I'm so glad you could make it." Why wouldn't I? It's been a long time since we saw or even spoke to each other. "I know, I've just had a lot going on." I totally get that, but also, we are family still. I mean, you're my sister and I care about you, so I don't see why you should go so long without talking. "You're right, we are family and I shouldn't have been so distant. I'll make up for it, I promise." "How about you make up for it by telling me about all that's been happening with you?" "All right, well, for starters, I'm engaged." "What? That's amazing. Oh my gosh, are you marrying the same guy you were dating in college?" "Ryan? Yes. He's the perfect person for me and I can't see myself being with anyone else but him." "Oh, I'm so happy you found someone as nice as him. So when's the wedding?" "We're planning to have it within the next 3 months, but we do have a slight problem." "Oh no, what's wrong?" "Well, we're planning on having a destination wedding." "Well, that's wonderful. Where do you plan on having it?" We were thinking of flying out to Paris. It's been a dream city for both Ryan and me. We figured there was no place better than that to get married in. That's beautiful. But what's the problem with it? Well, Ryan and I don't have nearly enough money to fund that wedding. We really want to have a big, elaborate wedding to showcase our love and commitment to each other. Oh no, so what do you want to do about it? I would lend you some money, but I don't think I have enough to help you out. I know you don't have the money for it, but you do have your own house. I know it's your inheritance from your dad and that it holds a lot of meaning to you, but do you think you could sell it? Of course. Wait, really? You have no objections to that? Why would I? Like I said, you're my sister, and that means that I'll do anything to make sure that you're happy. Oh my God, you're amazing. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this is going to help Brian and me. I'm just glad that I could be of some help to you, although it'll be a while before I can get the house sold and the money in my hands to give you. Do you have any money to pay deposits for all the services you'll need during the wedding? Oh yeah, Ryan and I saved up more than enough for that. We just need the rest of the money, you know. Of course, I'll keep you updated about the whole thing. You really are the best. I already know what you're thinking. I'm insane for agreeing to something like that, but I genuinely wanted to help Courtney. Besides, I guess I was just desperate to create some form of connection with her. And even though I wasn't there every single day, I did watch her grow from a child into adulthood, and I was sentimental about it. The only problem I had with Courtney's request was who I was going to sell my house to. Of course, I could just put my house up for sale, but that would be a long and boring process. I might not even get a buyer for months, and I needed a buyer as quickly as possible. One day, I suddenly remembered who I could contact. During my early 20s, right after I graduated, I worked for a startup company that was headed by a woman named Cheryl. I worked as an accountant, and I was a replacement for the previous accountant of the company. At the time of joining Cheryl's company, it was going through a little loss. But one quick look at the records, I noticed some really big miscalculations. Thankfully, I managed to find it in time for the yearly reports. I ended up saving Cheryl a good amount of money, especially because after that, I gave her some solid advice on how to invest that money. Now, her company was soaring and she was making almost 7 figures a year. After I helped her out, Cheryl and I ended up becoming pretty good friends. We didn't talk too frequently, but we had a secret understanding that we'd help each other out whenever we needed it. So, of course, I rang her up. Hey, Cheryl. Hi, how's everything going? It's going great. What about you? Well, the business is going really well, so I'm doing really good. That's great to hear, especially because I need to ask a huge favor of you. Do you need any money? Name the amount and I'll do it. Whoa, slow down. Please, you know I owe you my life. All I did was find an error in your bookkeeping. An error that has saved us thousands of dollars. Okay. I just wanted to ask you if you'd be in the market to buy a house. A house? Yeah, I'm selling my house and I kind of need it done as soon as possible. Whoa, why? Are you facing any financial issues? Because like I said earlier, I'd love to help you out. You don't have to sell the house that your dad left you. No. I'm doing great financially, but my stepsister's getting married and she asked me to sell the house because she needs the money to pay for her destination wedding. I don't know if you can hear yourself, but you sound kind of insane. I know, but she's my sister at the end of the day. Is this the same sister that went no contact with you out of the blue? Yeah, but she got in contact with me and I want to help her out. Look, I'm no one to tell you what to do with your possessions, but do you really want to do something this drastic? I really do. Are you willing to buy my house? If you aren't, do you know someone willing to? I'll buy it off of you. Don't worry about it. Thank you so much. You're my lifesaver now. Guess you could say that we're even now. Nonsense. But just so you know, even if I bought the house off of you, I'm not letting you move out. You're going to keep living there. And if at any point you want to cancel selling it, you can tell me and I'll have no objections. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Hey, what are friends for? Why don't we meet up tomorrow and discuss this in more detail? That's perfect. I was genuinely so grateful for Cheryl's willingness to help. I knew that she was going to be really nice about it too, but I did not expect her to offer to let me continue living there. I knew I made the right decision by asking her to buy the house off of me. We met up the next day and got to discussing the sale of the house. We got the house appraised and we realized that the house had appreciated quite a bit and was now worth $200,000. I was fully prepared to give the entire amount to Courtney, but Cheryl stopped me. She told me that she would only purchase the house from me if I promised to not give Courtney more than half, which was a fair deal to me. I saw no reason for anyone to have a wedding that cost $200,000. Aside from that, though, we got in touch with a good agent and began the selling process of the house. I gave Courtney the good news and she seemed beyond ecstatic about the amount that she'd receive. I was happy that I was able to help her out in general. I told Courtney that it would take a few months to process, but she could go ahead and plan the wedding of her dreams. After that conversation with her, I barely heard much from her. I assumed that planning the wedding was consuming all her time, so I didn't try too hard to get in contact with her. When I got the first installment of the payment for the house from Cheryl, I tried to contact Courtney, but she didn't pick up. So I called my mom because I figured that Courtney was keeping them in the loop. Hi, sweetie. How are things going with you? Things are going great. What about you? Oh, everything's just fantastic, although things are a little crazy around here with Courtney getting married and all that. Oh, yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, Charlie and I did have a bit of a freak out when we found out that she was planning to have a destination wedding. Why? Well, we told her that we'd help provide for the wedding, but we did not have that kind of money for a destination wedding in Paris, which is why we're so grateful for your contribution to the wedding, sweetie. Oh, it's okay. There's no need to thank me. She's just as much my family as you are. Of course, I was going to help her out in any way that I could. That's very kind-hearted of you, but I am super excited to see you at the wedding. Me too, but when is the wedding happening? Did Courtney not send you the invite? No, I haven't spoken to her in a while. Oh, she must have forgotten to send it to you. It's happening on April 23rd. How could she have forgotten to send an invite to the one person who has funded her entire wedding? Oh, sweetie, I'm sure it must have been a slight oversight on her part. I mean, wedding planning is no joke. It takes over you, and you barely have any time to think. Yeah, I guess. I still do think it's a little weird, don't you think? If I'm being very honest, yes, it is. I mean, I know I'm trying to make excuses for her, but I don't think any of that fully justifies her not sending you an invitation. Do you think I should wait for the invitation, or should I just confront her about it? She only sent out the invitations last weekend, so why don't you give her another week before confronting her about it? All right, I'll do that. Thank you for at least giving me a heads up about it. I really didn't know that she hadn't sent you an invite. I'm so sorry that you had to find out this way. No, believe me, it's better this way. Okay then, you take care. Now keep me updated about the whole thing. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong no matter how hard I tried. It didn't feel right that Courtney could just conveniently forget to send me an invitation. I mean, I was paying for the whole wedding. If I was in her shoes, my first invite would go to whoever was paying for the wedding. Even though I felt like something was seriously wrong, I decided to give Courtney the benefit of the doubt. I didn't mention to my mom that I had the first installment of the house's sale just because I didn't want to give Courtney any money until I got an invitation. I knew that I promised to help her out, but I couldn't help but feel like giving her that money would backfire in the worst way possible. So I waited another week. I checked my email religiously every day to make sure I never missed it. Of course, by the end of the week, I hadn't received the email. I called Courtney up and she picked up finally. I guess my mom talked to her, which was why she picked up. Anyway, I tried my best to remain calm and cool so it wouldn't seem like I was desperate for answers. Hey, Courtney. Oh, hey, what's up? Nothing much. How's wedding planning going? Oh gosh, it's so exhausting. Everyone talks about how glorious their weddings are, but no one ever talks about how exhausting it is to have that glorious wedding. Yeah, it must be very stressful. I don't mean to sound rude or anything, but is that why you haven't sent me an invite? What do you mean? Of course not. Oh, then why haven't you sent me an invite? My bad. I've been so swept up with planning this wedding that I completely forgot to tell you. Tell me what? Apologies, but only real family members are invited. Excuse me? Well, you're not my real family, and I just wanted my wedding to have only the closest people there. So let me get this straight. I'm close enough for you to ask me to pay for your wedding, but not close enough to attend the wedding? Oh, come on. Don't be so hurt about it. I couldn't help it, okay? You've never been a part of my life. Yes, because you've actively kept me out of your life. You were the reason we never spoke to each other. I tried to reach out, but you'd ignore me. What do you expect? You're not actually related to me, and you're kind of boring. My mom is invited to your wedding, though. She's not your mother, nor is she your real family. How is that okay? But I'm not invited. Well, your mother is my dad's wife, so it would be awkward not to invite her, but I have no actual obligation to invite you. Wow. There's no need to be hurt. This is just the truth. I'm sorry you can't attend the wedding, but I'll make sure to send you all the pictures, just so you know you feel like you're part of the wedding still. No problem, of course. I would love to see all the pictures. No hard feelings? Absolutely not. I was boiling with rage. I couldn't believe the audacity that Courtney had to not only ask me to pay for her wedding, but also not invite me to it. I spent all my time trying to get closer to her, to develop a better relationship with her, and this is what I got in return for being nice. I was also really hurt by her actions. I was hurt by the way that she so nonchalantly told me that I was not invited. I was hurt that she never considered me her family. I was only something that she could use, and I'm sure I made it easy for her, considering how I was always eager to do anything that she asked of me. Once the hurt subsided, I was back to feeling incredibly angry. The thought of almost having sold my house to provide for a wedding for someone who barely cared if I was alive or dead made me quake with anger. I hated that my kindness had been used against me, and I wanted to get back at Courtney for doing that to me. In all my anger, I did the first thing that came to mind. I called Cheryl so I could cancel the sale of the house. I knew that she had told me that she wouldn't have a problem with it, and I hoped that she meant it. When she picked up the phone, she immediately sensed that something was wrong. Hey, Cheryl. Hi, is everything okay? Not really. What's wrong? Well, I'm going to have to pull out of selling the house. Oh, why is that? Not that I have an issue with it. I just found out that I'm not invited to Courtney's wedding. What? You mean the wedding that you were going to help pay for? Yeah, apparently I'm not her real family member. Wow, that's some nerve she has. Tell me about it. That's why I want to pull out of the deal. I don't see any point in helping her out. That's more than valid for a reason. I mean, I promised you that I would let you back out at any point, and I'm honoring that promise. Thank you so much. Of course. If you need me to do anything else for you, though, let me know. I don't think there's anything else for now, but I do need to ask you something. Yes? It's just, now that I've said that I'm not paying for Courtney's wedding out loud, I'm beginning to hear what a big decision that is. I'm not doing the wrong thing, right? Absolutely not. That house was given to you by your dad, a man who loved and cared for you very deeply. It would be beyond disrespectful to him if you sold it to pay for someone who barely even considered you her family. You're right. I'm just hurting a lot right now, and I don't want to make any decisions that are going to affect me in the long term. This is not going to affect you in any way. You're standing up for yourself, and that's never a bad thing. If you're worried about the impact this will have on Courtney, you shouldn't. That's something that she should be worried about, considering she was stupid enough to not invite the person paying for her wedding. You're right. Thank you so much for helping me. Just because I was angry, it didn't take away my humanity. I guess saying my plan out loud did make me feel bad for Courtney, especially because I knew for a fact that she would have planned an extravagant wedding with the amount of money that I told her I would give her. But Cheryl was right. I couldn't let her take advantage of me, nor could I lose something that was given to me with so much love over someone who didn't care enough about me or the significance of the house to me. I will agree, in hindsight, even the request to sell something so precious to me was beyond absurd, and I knew I had made the right decision with selling the house to Cheryl, because she had my back, well and truly. Within the next week, I returned the money that Cheryl had given me for the sale of the house. We then planned a girls' day out on the day of the wedding, so the thought of the wedding wouldn't remain on my mind. I informed my mother about what Courtney had said, and my mom was upset, but she told me she would see what she could do about it. I told her not to bother with it because I didn't want to go to the wedding anymore. I didn't tell her that I wasn't paying for the wedding anymore because I didn't want that to get back to Courtney. It took a while to get over the hurt of it all, but I eventually did, thanks to Cheryl, of course. My temper was once again tested when Courtney purposefully sent me hundreds of pictures of the wedding and told me that I had missed out. I remained calm and waited until the day that she would ask me to pay for the wedding. And only 4 days after her wedding, she called me while I was at work. Hey, Amber. Oh, hi. Is this urgent? Because if not, I'm really busy right now. I don't have time to talk. This is actually kind of urgent. Okay, what is it? I don't know if you saw any of the pictures, but I just got married. That's good, but how does this concern me? Well, you need to pay for it, remember? No, I don't. What do you mean? You're going to sell your house so you could help me have my dream wedding. Yeah, but then I didn't see why I had to pay for something that I wouldn't be a part of. You can't be serious. That's what I thought when you told me that you weren't inviting me. You can't go back on your word right now. I went back on my word the day that you told me that I wasn't invited. But what happened to me being your sister and you doing anything for me? You made it clear that we aren't sisters. And since that is the case, I see no reason for me to help you out. Especially if helping you out means selling something that was given to me by someone who actually cared for me. Why didn't you tell me anything? How am I supposed to pay off this huge bill? Oh, right. Apologies. I was busy with work. What is wrong with you? You tricked me. You cheated me out of my money. I didn't cheat you out of anything, and it was not your money. It was mine, and I was going to give it to you, but I never did. I can't pay this bill. I don't have $100,000 on me. I already have my student loan to pay, so this will never get paid off. You should have thought about that before you uninvited the one person who was funding your wedding. I'm going to sue you. You tricked me. Courtney, the agreement for me to help you was never written down anywhere. It's your word against mine. There's no use in trying to sue me. I can't believe that you're willing to treat your family so cruelly. I'm not treating my family cruelly, remember? You said that I was not your real family. Why are you making my life hell? I'm not doing anything. You brought this on yourself. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to work so I can go back to my beautiful home and relax. Goodbye. I could hear Courtney gasp before I cut the call, and I couldn't help but laugh at that. All the hurt that I was feeling felt like it had vanished now that I got my sweet revenge. But of course, that was not the end of it. I still needed to know about how Courtney was going to pay that bill off. And don't worry, I found out, and I'm going to tell you about it. After that phone call, Courtney kept blowing up my phone with hundreds of calls and texts that ranged from her begging me to pay off the huge wedding bill, to her insulting me for being a bad sister and a bad person. Of course, under normal circumstances, I would have felt horrible, but since she made it crystal clear that I was not a part of her family, I saw no reason to feel bad. I only found out about what happened with Courtney when I spoke to my mom. She called me about a week after my phone call with Courtney. I kind of expected her to be upset with me for going back on my word, but surprisingly, she was completely on my side. She even told me that she gave Courtney a good piece of her mind for being so rude and selfish towards me. Courtney apparently begged my mom to help her pay off the huge wedding bill, but my mom made it explicitly clear she didn't have that kind of money. At best, my mom could only give her a few $1,000s, but nothing more than that. Courtney's dad, Charlie, also didn't have that kind of money to give her. Courtney's husband and Ryan's family were against the destination wedding from the start and made it explicitly clear that they were not going to pay for it if it came down to them helping out. Not to mention, they too didn't have that kind of money. The only thing that Courtney and Ryan could do was take out a huge loan to finance their wedding. I couldn't help but feel really satisfied with that result. I knew that this was a harsh lesson to teach Courtney, but it was a lesson that she needed to learn. She should know to never treat anyone as rudely as she did, especially not when the person is helping you out. I didn't want to hear any more from Courtney, so I made sure to block her. My mom did give me regular updates, but that stopped because Courtney cut off contact with them since they didn't help her pay for her extravagant wedding. Not that it's a bother to us anyways. I'm just happy that I still have the house that was given to me by my father. I'm living happily, and I can't help but be incredibly grateful that I found out about everything when I did. Life has gone back to normal now, and I hope it stays this way for a long time. Thank you for listening to my story.